Now, we will give him his haunches. Much of felting, we do it quite firm, but for this, I do want him to be fluffy, right? I don't want it to be too firm. He should kind of have a look and feel of a rabbit. I think my fold is going to be at the bottom. Okay, I have a fold here. I want to be pretty even with his bottom. This is suggesting leg, right? The haunches, the legs. This part here will be covered by this blue jacket. There's going to be a little cottontail there. I want this to be kind of like that. Not that I'm suggesting he's Peter Cottontail, because he's not. He's Peter Rabbit. Totally different guy. Okay. So like I said, this is not, we're not felting this firm. It's bunny haunches. Bunny haunches. I'm using my hands a little bit because I want that to be close to even. Very pretty. All right. An ochre. That's very pretty, very fine fawn color. With the bottom here. And just compare it to the other one that you have, right? You want it to be fairly symmetrical. So I believe this is our front. Yeah, this is our front. So I want it to be attached, but really not too much more than that. Imagine a fluffy little Peter Rabbit in your hands. What would he feel like? He would be soft as can be. And really, the haunches can start about here. They don't have to go up to here. That's all going to be covered with blue jacket. And he wouldn't have haunches up to his neck, but he might have some nice fawn coloring up to his neck. Okay, haunches, haunches. I do want them to look very similar. Now we're going to give him some fawn coloring from his nose around to the back of his head. So I want to leave a little spot here for a mouth. So the mouth is about there. I'm going to start the nose just about here. So I'm wanting to create, you can see here that you have a U shape, a long U. Leave room for those eyes. And then we have a little bit of detail on the sides, a little bit of sideburns, and then around to the back. Right now we're just focusing on creating this U. And it does go right down the back. I don't want to pull too much here because I don't want to mess with what we've done in the front. I want another level, another layer, and I am going to want to build that nose up a little bit, right? So using just a small amount. Let's come back here. You can look at it from the side. So when we look at this from the side, see how we've even added a little nubbin nose there, which we'll do at the end. So that's how much you want it built up. Because then we're going to add a nubbin. So we have a little bit, just this little bit. It's not going to require very much at all. I even wonder if that's too much. Let's try this bit first. And I just moisten my hand a bit. And have a little glass of water at your side. Roll that into a nice ball. And boop. Boop it at the end. I'm being gentle here. I don't want to squash in the face. Oh, have we got a nose? I think we have achieved nose. And then this did go in a little bit, so I'm going to pull it out. Very gently, don't break your needle. I want that out, and I don't want to lose any chubby cheek. Are your cheeks chubby enough? I keep asking myself, are his cheeks chubby enough? Okay, so just a little bit of black. I don't want it to be a tight ball because it's going to be elliptical, right? So is that about right? Looks about right. So this eye is coming up from the nose, about to there. Pull it, and I want a very almond shape for his eye. Now, forever and always the trickiest part, making a second one that looks the same as the first one. You probably want to have the two balls at once. You can compare them and say, hey, are these the same size? Is this the same size as this? I would say it's just a little bit bigger. Let's take some off. Is this the same size as this? You hear all the birds in the background? It's very Beatrix Potter land that I live in. It's not England. It's Canada. But I'm surrounded by wild things. Bunnies, for instance. Okay, so I'll make sure that these are symmetrical. We'll line them up, use your needle. So I want to attach these eyes. I don't want to create an indent in the face. We've made the core, that centerpiece, firm enough that it can withstand having some felting on it. You know, you are going to have a little eye socket, right? There we go. Okay. Are they the same? And you want to make sure you get these black wisps in. The button nose. Okay. Now, very important that we give him some reflection in his eyes because that is where all the cute comes from. So, tiny, tiny, tiny amount. We're going to position it not quite at the top. Almost, but not quite at the top. And it's amazing how this little bit of reflection gives so much personality to the face. And it does not need to be perfectly round. Often that reflection will have a little indent in it. So that is all right. All right. This is where we are at now. So let's give him a little bit of this side detail. Not too much. Just a delicate little operation here. Just a little bit of sideburn. That's okay if it comes down the cheek a little bit. Makes him debonair. He's a debonair little fella. Okay, so next in line for this adorable face is this line around the nose and a little tiny mouth. So we just need a tiny little wisp of black. We then, whenever we're making straight lines or lines in any direction, it's a twisting situation. Okay, this is going to give some definition to his nose. Don't go too far up, but here. And then back on up the other side. And there's a small detail. Doesn't need to be too obvious. I do feel like that is a little too subtle. So let's come back. Let's come back over again. Snip it and bring that end in. Adorable little nose. Is now just the smallest of mouths. So I'm rolling this into a ball. I do want it to be quite small. Oh, Peter. Look at your little tiny mouth. That is cute. Okay, cute mouth. Cheeks, cute. Nose, cute. Eyes, cute. Little soulful. All right, so what's next for our Peter Rabbit? I think we shall go for ears. Let's give him some nice big floppy ears. So to make those, we're using the fawn, and we are using white, and the length of the ear, shoop, is about that. The length of the ear is about 2.5, almost 2.5, 2.25. So we're going to take some fawn. I want to make sure we have the same amount for each. I made these before, and I honestly feel like they could be more solid. So let's make them with a little more felt. This goes pretty much even Steven amounts. And then I'm going to fold over. And that's going to give me a nice ear. Let's see. Yep. And fold over. Okay. So it's good to have both of them together at the same time, so that you make sure that they're the same amount. But we shall just begin with one. So let's clear off our space bit. It's not too much. Okay, ear time. So I'm going to coax it. This end, this loose end, is the part that's going to attach to the body. So we want to keep that loose. So that means that this end is the top of the ear. I'm just going to come around and coax it and nudge it into a good ear shape. The edges, I like to roll them in. By rolling them in, I'm giving it a nice outer ear shape, right, with that roll. And remember to keep lifting it. It doesn't get too attached to your felting mat. Let's check our width, the width that we want to end up with. At its widest point, 1.25 inches. Here I've got about 1.5 inches, so I'll come in a little bit from there. Pull it up. Now I've turned it around. I can get at it from the other side. And I'm going to start pulling and tugging to help with that elongated shape. And I definitely want a tip. Let's take a look at what we have here now. So it is, again, a more robust ear that I'm making, but I like that. I like that. The ears have it. One and a half. I said I was going for 1.25. Why is that 1.5? Would that be too much ear, Peter? Okay, a little smaller. And you see where the back was felted in a bit? Felted into the mat. We want to correct that gently, because I don't want to push this front. So I'm felting a little more firmly in the center, so that we have outer ear and inner ear. How long am I? Yeah, it's about as long as I want to be. I think this is a bit much for the attaching. I'll get rid of a little bit of that, pulling it off gently, and I'm holding the ear here so that when I pull it I don't damage the ear at all. And then I pinch the bottom together. That helps to give you shape. And I'm going to have a little white in the center for definition. And a nice little ear. Okay, now let's add just a tiny bit of pink, like the smallest amount of pink to the inside of that ear. Where you have a bunch of strands, you can wind them into your needle and then boop. Now, the more time you spend on this, just gently tapping, the better that ear is going to look. And you can decide when it's finished, when it looks as nice as you want it to look, when it's smooth. See, some of the white has come through. I'll just tap it back in there. That's a nice little bunny ear. Oh, just have to go that way. Yep, that looks reasonable to me. Okay. Now I see my mat is getting a little dirty. I have this little clover tool. This little clover tool that I bought, and I recommend just for keeping your mat clean. If you're using the smaller silicone mat that I sent, it works really well on that too. Just lifts up the fibers. Because what you don't want to do is now get, I can see this is fawn here. If I'm working in another color, I don't want to get the fawn on it. So I want to lift all that up. And what to do with these little pieces? I save them. I save all the little pieces of, not used detritus in different colors. And I make rocks out of them. And I have this little display of rocks that sometimes are my favorite thing that I've done that day. There we go. nice and clean and ready to start. Some folks also invest in 2 mats or put a pad on the mat so that when they're working with dark fibers, they use a dark mat, and when they're working with light fibers, they use a light mat. So we want to make another ear, make another one just like the other one. So what we did here was we folded it over. You can see at this stage that the right ear is a little larger than the left ear. So I'm going to felt it down more so they're more, there's greater symmetry. I would say these are very similar ears. So on they go. He's a bunny, so he's a prey animal, I'm sorry to say. So his ears are large and they kind of rotate a bit so that he can keep his ears open for trouble. So I like them to be like to the side, a little front facing, and to the side. And then you see we have all of these wisps that we kept for attaching, and that fawn color. We already have on the face and the body. So it just nicely blends in. And you see, you don't want to have too much. You don't want a large, like a clump here. So before you attach your ear, just take a look at how much you have attaching wool at the end. I want to move this forward a little bit. It will go in the direction that you're tapping it, so I want the ear to go a little bit forward. So I tap this way, or just go a little bit that way, tap that way. Ear the second. Line them up. I'm going to take away a little bit of this. Holding the bottom of the ear when I do that. Okay, positioned evenly. So now you can spend a lot of time finessing those ears, and I recommend that you do. Just keep tapping, gently, gently tapping. Spend an hour with it. It will increase your satisfaction with your end product. Want them to be nice and even, and smooth. Oh, you've got some nice, serious ears, my friend. And just keep on that.